UXO contamination remains a leading cause of poverty in Laos and is one of the key factors limiting the country's long-term development, preventing people from using land and denying access to basic services. Speaking to our news team, Australian Ambassador to Laos John Williams said, UXO clearance efforts in Laos are important. Not only do they save lives, but they support national development. Details with our news team in the following news. It is now common knowledge that during the Indochina War, more than 500,000 bombing missions were carried out over Laos, resulting in over 2 million tons of explosive ordnance being dropped.
Cluster bombs, they'll have to come back again.
Statistics shows that Laos is the world's most heavily impacted country by bombs per capita, with over 2 million tons of munitions dropped on Laos from 1964 to 1973 by American warplanes, equivalent to every Lao man or woman responsible for a ton of bombs. With around 270 million cluster munitions dropped, about 80 million failed to explode, which continues to maim and kill civilians.
Involvement in Laos.
In Laos, more than 50,000 people were killed or injured by UXOs from 1964 to 2007.
More than half of...
After the war ended in 1973, some 87,231 square kilometers across 14 provinces were left contaminated with UXOs. Only about 1% of the total contaminated areas have been cleared of the deadly devices so far. In a move to speed up clearance of the devices, the Lao government, backed by development partners a few years ago, adopted UXO as Laos' local Millennium Development Goals, Goal number 9, demanding all stakeholders to pursue the target set. However, Lao officials have admitted that Laos would be unable to free the country from UXO within 10 years, as stipulated by the Oslo Convention, given the contaminated area is huge, with only about 1% cleared since clearance operation began in 1996, while the budget to fund clearance operation is limited.
Yeah, this is obviously a very significant issue, unexploded ordnances for the Lao PDR, in terms of a major risk for people in areas affected, in terms of their safety and general well-being.
Addressing the UXO issue is seen as critical to addressing poverty and supporting national development efforts in Laos. Australian Ambassador to Laos John Williams said that UXO contamination remains a leading cause of poverty in Laos and is one of the key factors limiting the country's long-term development, preventing people from using land and denying access to basic services.
But also in terms of something that's inhibiting the economic development, a lot of poor areas of the Lao PDR. And Australia's been involved in the sector for a long time. I think there's a lot more work that needs to happen at community level to inform children in particular about the dangers of UXOs when they're out exploring in their neighbourhoods.
According to the Ambassador John Williams, Australia is one of the major donors for the UXO sector in Laos and works closely with national and international organizations in the efforts to help the country reduce UXO risk and poverty by providing financial and technical assistance to agencies in the UXO sector.
But also I think there's a really big issue for all of us internationally to explain to countries around the world and to people around the world that Laos was the victim of this bombing for many, many years, and that it's going to take decades and decades for the world community to work with the Lao PDR to clear the remaining UXOs. So I think there's a really important issue there to continue to encourage people, private citizens overseas and foreign governments, to continue to support the Lao PDR, the government of the Lao PDR, to resolve the UXO problem.
UXO clearance efforts in Laos are important. Not only do they save lives, they support national development by providing spaces for schools, clean water, play spaces, and safe farming land.
At the present rate of demolition, it will be many, many more decades until Lao villagers are safe from bombies.
The strong correlation between poverty and UXO present across the country is clear, with 41 out of the 46 poorest districts contaminated by UXO. This remains a significant impediment to the nation's efforts to achieve the MDGs.
Is cleared for the generations to come.